Well, we're here for another Naz Chat. I'm here with Jim Carsey, and Jim's one of our fine members and has been a member of Marysville Church of the Nazarene for quite a while, and since I've been there at least, and pretty good guy. I like Jim an awful lot. So I'm just going to kind of ask him some questions, let him share. Jim, why don't you talk about where were you born and when?
I was born in Parkersburg, West Virginia in 1927.
1927.
Yeah.
So you're a mountaineer.
Yes. I was raised down in Athens County. That's where I went to school at. Went down there, went to one room schoolhouse, all 8 grades. And we had to walk about 2 miles to get to school.
Oh, was it uphill both ways?
It wasn't no traffic.
Okay, so you were born in West Virginia, then you went to school in Ohio?
Well, I was born in Parkersburg. I always accused my mother, because she was from West Virginia. I accused her of going over to West Virginia because she wanted to have one of her kids born in West Virginia. But she said that wasn't true. We lived there at the time when I was born. So.
Okay. Now, you have siblings? How many siblings you have?
We got 4.
All right.
My family?
Yeah.
We had 4. 3 girls and 1 boy. Larry, you know Larry. No. You're talking about my family.
I'm talking about your brothers and sisters.
All my brothers and sisters. There was 6 of us.
6 of you. Okay.
Well, there was 7. One brother died when he was young.
Okay.
I mean, he was only 2 years old.
Now, are you one of the older ones in your family?
My sister was older than me. She was 18 months older than me. Yeah.
So you'll turn 93 this year, right?
I am 93 right now. I'll turn 94.
You turned 94. Okay. All right.
I've seen a lot of things happen in my lifetime. I've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah.
We went from electric in the house, no electric in the house. We had coal oil lights, and in the wintertime, we practically lived in all one room because it was so cold. Couldn't keep the house warm.
Well, when you were growing up, probably people thought it was kind of gross to have a restroom in the house, didn't they?
Yes, there was no such thing as that. We had to get water from the outside, too. I've seen a lot of changes in my lifetime.
I bet you have.
Went from horse and buggy to the jet age.
To the jet age, that's right. Now you ended up serving in World War II. How old were you when you went into the Army?
I was just 17, turned 18.
Okay.
And I went in the Army in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
My dad moved up there when the war broke out. He got a job up there, and we left the farm and went up there. And that's where I met Evelyn at too.
Okay. Did you meet Evelyn before you went into the Army?
Yes.
Okay.
She was 14 years old, and I was 16 when I met her.
Where did you meet her?
In Columbus. My cousin introduced me to her. So,
okay.
We had a good life together. But when I went into service, of course, I was gone for a couple of years, and then when I come home, well, that's when we got married.
Okay. Now, see, my dad always talks about marrying my mom. They got married, went on a 2-week honeymoon, then he went on a 9-month cruise. He was in the Navy, and so he was on an aircraft carrier for 9 months after they were married. But you got married after you came back, so you were.
After I come back from the service, yes.
Okay. Where did you serve?
I was in the Pacific. I was in Manila.
Okay.
Luzon, Leyte. I never was in a battle or anything like that, but I've seen what wars can do to a country and what it does to people. I've seen a lot of things I don't want to mention about a lot of it.
I don't blame you.
I was at Clark Field, right there in Luzon, and I went from there to I was stationed there for I think it was 3 or 4 months, and the war ended, and I was sent up to Tokyo for occupational forces,
Okay.
and I joined General MacArthur's headquarters up there. I was in water purification,
Okay.
and we had to purify the water in the whole city of Tokyo because the water and everything was messed up when we get there. So the town had been fire bombed, and it was really a mess. I seen a lot of young little kids begging for something to eat. That's something I never have forgot about that.
I bet you haven't.
And
Did you ever meet General MacArthur?
I never met him, but I was at. I never personally shook his hand or anything. Of course, he wouldn't want to shake my hand. I was just private at that time. But my we went to he was in the American Embassy there, and we went up there to purify the water in the American Embassy, and my officer was in charge. We went up to his the American Embassy there, and we purifying the water in the swimming pool. He had a swimming pool there. So he was down on one end of the pool, and I was on the other end.
He didn't let you swim.
No, he didn't let me swim. No.
So you came back to the States after being in Japan, and you and Evelyn, how long before you were married?
I got discharged December 1946 from the service, and I started to work at General Motors before I ever got married. And let's see, we got married in 1947, February 15th, 1947.
Okay.
Well, I started to work at General Motors in 46 when I got home. I was really fortunate. I got home. I got discharged from the service the 9th day of December, 1946, and I started to work at GM 13th day of 1946. And I worked there I never was laid off.
Uh-huh.
And I worked there for 32 years.
Wow.
Evelyn and I got married. We never had the money to go on a honeymoon at the time. Because I started to work at General Motors, I was making 87 cents an hour. And that
seemed like a lot then, though, didn't it?
It seemed like a lot because gasoline was only 10 cents a gallon. But I had a good life at General Motors, and when after we got married, she told me, said, well, we're not going to get married if you don't become a Christian. And so that was my influence to get married. I loved her too much to leave her. So I become a Christian there at Parsons Avenue Church of Nazarene in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And the Lord has been good to me all the time. It's been really good to me.
Let's back up just a second, and we'll get to your testimony a little bit more here as we move through this. What was your first vehicle? What was your first car that you owned?
A 1939 Ford. Club Coupe.
What was your first GM that you owned?
Oh, GM car?
Yeah.
That's when I bought when I worked at GM. I was driving a Ford and working at GM, and some of the guys said, "You can't park that thing over here. You ain't allowed to." I said, "I believe I will." But it turned out real nice. So.
Good. So you and Evelyn, she influenced you to follow Jesus, and he's never failed you.
Never failed me once. Never has failed me once. She was a good instrument of the Bible. She believed in serving the Lord,
Mm.
and she showed me how to serve the Lord. In fact, she said, well, our first paycheck, after we got married, she said, we got a tithe. And I said, how are we going to take 10% out of that? Well, we didn't have, I don't think I had $100 for a week's wage. And we did start tithing then. She said, well, we're going to start paying the tithe. I said, okay, that's what we'll do. That's what we done.
Mm.
Well, we had our first child come along in 1948. And she's Diane. She lives in London, Ohio. She belongs to the church in Nazarene down there.
Right.
Well, I served as Sunday school superintendent down there for 12 years and helped in the building program. We started that building program down there on the labor of love.
Yeah.
And when we got it finished, and moved in. We had the first payment coming up. It was $250 a month, and nobody knew how we was going to get it. We didn't even have that much money coming in the tithe.
Right.
Church. It was so. There's only about 10 of us in the church. So we went to prayer, and Pastor, no, I can't think of his name. Ferris, Reverend Ferris was our pastor, and he said he believed in prayer. So we got down on our knees and prayed, and within a week's time, the Fairhaven School come and rented the church off from us to have a school in there. They paid the payment on the church. They furnished the Sunday school rooms. That was God's answer of prayer.
That's God answered prayer. That's right.
And they furnished all that, and they paid all the utilities and everything for the church.
Wow.
And I think they was there for 2 years until they built their own place. And we left there. I served there for 12 years as Sunday school superintendent, and then I moved up to Marysville. Okay. We started
Reverend Case was there?
Reverend Case was there.
Okay.
And we started a building. We had a building program down in the basement of the church there. We built some Sunday school rooms down there. All them Sunday school rooms down there were built. And then we redone the sanctuary, put that big folding door in. Oh, it's up there. Yeah, I think it's still there.
Yeah, I think it is.
They divided the back part of it off.
So you were part of the building committee or led the building committee that built the sanctuary there?
No, the sanctuary was already there when we got there, but the old sanctuary.
Okay, gotcha.
That was there, and we had we built the Sunday school room. We didn't have enough Sunday school room down, and we built them Sunday school rooms down in the basement. And so then, a few years after that, we started the building program of where the sanctuary is now.
Okay.
And I'd retired from GM at that time, so that was my full-time job, is coordinating the building with the contractors and stuff. So we worked on the building of the sanctuary where we're in now, and all the Sunday school rooms up through the hallway.
Okay.
And anyhow, the Lord has been good to us. I worked there all the time. I was like a job.
Well, I tell you what, you've been good for the church too. Let me tell you, we're blessed to have you, Jim, as part of our church. And I've said this to you before. I hope I appreciate all that you've done for God and for the church, and I believe it's made an eternal difference. Talk about Evelyn. And how many kids did you guys have?
We have 4 children. 4 children.
You're at Larry's house now, right?
Larry's my only boy I had. 3 girls. And
Diane, who's at London, and
Diane,
Carrie and Lori's at Marysville.
yeah, Diane's at London, still
Okay.
in London. And she's serving there. Of course, she's got Alzheimer's now. It's bad. But her husband served there.
Good.
Anyhow, and then Terry and Lori, and they really helped me a lot.
Terry and Lori work the doors, and Jim works the doors sometimes by the coffee shop. I know you've handed out bulletins there as well.
Yeah.
Evelyn got sick. What year did she have her stroke?
You remember where? I can't remember. 2001, I believe.
Okay. And I know I came to be your pastor in 2014, and I think Evelyn must have passed in 2016. Is that sound?
15. The last part of 15.
All right.
November. Well, anyhow, she was in a wheelchair, and we had to do everything for her for 15 years, I think it was.
And I know as a pastor, I'd go see them, and you could see the love they had for one another. Evelyn couldn't do a lot and couldn't say a lot, but you could see how much she loved Jim and how much Jim loves her. And I used to say it was almost enough to make you sick to see how much they loved each other and wanted to be with each other. But Jim cared for Evelyn. We have 2 saints in our church that I watched them care for their wives, and that was Jim and Terry Moore. And both of them, they showed what love is. They showed what agape love is. And I've said that to you, brother. I think you're a true gentleman, and I'm proud to be your pastor because you show me what Christ-like behavior looks like. And I appreciate you.
That's what it's all about, really. I remember when before we got married, I told her I love her, and she told me, she said, "You don't know what love is." And I said, "I think I'll prove it to you before my days is over." And I believe I did that.
I think you did. I think you did, brother.
I miss her so much. I talk to her every night. Before I go to sleep at night. But I talk to the Lord. Me and the Lord is in that house of ourselves. And so we get along real good.
Yeah, Jim, you're 93. Live on your own. Stand as straight as narrow. Tell you about 2 years ago, 3 years, got knee replacements. And I tell you what, God has blessed you.
Yes, I'm still able to take care of the house around there and do things. The girls help me a lot. They do my shopping and stuff. But they like to go to the store, so I let them do my shopping. I do my mowing. It takes me about 2 hours to get my mowing done and do the other work around the house. And of course, I was getting Larry to do my heavy work, but we're both influenced now. Neither one of us can do too much.
You're recovering. That's good. Everybody's recovering, so that's good.
Right, but during this time, I've spent a lot of time in prayer, and during this time where we can't get out and go anywhere, and I finished up Bible study this year with my son Larry, and Terry Moore went for Bible study with us this year.
Good.
And we studied the book of Acts. I always thought the book of Acts was all about Paul, but it's really about our plan of salvation.
Yeah.
And Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And so I learned a lot. You never get to learn things about God.
No.
You never graduate.
No.
You never graduate from the Lord's work. So I'm still trying to do what I can do.
Well, we're proud of you. We love you. And, I'll say this, and I told you we weren't going to be long, and we're not. And so I'm thankful for your service to our country, your service to the church, your service to your family, and your service to God. You are a prime example of what it means to follow God and be a godly man. And I hope at some point that people can see me in the same light I see you. And so I want you to know that.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the day when I get to meet Evelyn again in heaven. But I want to meet Jesus and thank him for what he's done for me down through my life. If it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't have never been nothing, really. So I put everything in his hands. So,
brother, I think that's a good way to end. Let's just thank Jesus for life, and love you, brother, and we'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Yeah. When we're going to have church again?
Hopefully soon. I'm hoping that by June we start seeing the end of this. But we're not going to rush anything. There's no reason to rush anything.
No. I sure do miss going to church. And
I know you do. I know you do. And
and
that's part of my reluctance is the first people back would probably be the people that maybe don't need to be back as soon as.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I hope we don't have to wear a mask, but that's what they're talking about.
You never know. You never know. Well, I'm going to stop the recording. Okay.
All right. Well, I love you, Pastor.
Love you too.